English 371, week 14, part 3. So let's keep going through the scene of Dogberry, because it brings me a lot of joy, and it's a nice way to kind of end the semester. So all right. All right. So he says, "Well, for your favor, sir, why give God thanks and make no boast of it, and for your writing and reading, let that appear when there is no need of such vanity." Like, what? It doesn't make any sense. For your writing and reading, let that appear when there is no need. Why would you want to see the guy's writing and reading when you don't need it? He's got that backwards again. All right. "You are thought to be the most senseless and fit man for the constable of the watch." Again, it should be sensible, which means smart. Senseless means dumb. So he's gotten it reversed again. "Therefore, bear you the lantern." In the movie, this is a flashlight, because the movie takes place in modern times, like the Coriolanus and Romeo and Juliet. All right, this is the charge. So he's telling this is your job as cops. This is your charge. "You shall comprehend all vagrom men." You are to bid any man stand. You shall comprehend all vagrom men. Okay, that's the first thing that I like in this. You shall comprehend all vagrom men. Vagrom means vagrant, meaning homeless people. And he says to them, "You shall comprehend all homeless people." He's got it wrong. He picked the wrong word there because he's not smart. The word he wants is apprehend. You shall apprehend homeless people and put them in jail, because you're not allowed to sleep on the streets of this city. So what he's trying to say is you shall apprehend all of the homeless people, the vagrants, the vagrom men. What he actually says, though, is you shall comprehend all vagrom men. That's actually it's a mistake. He screwed up and not said what he meant to say. But what he did say is actually kind of interesting. You shall comprehend all homeless people. He's accidentally saying to them, you should really try to understand all the homeless people that you meet. That's actually kind of lovely. I mean, this is the thing about Dogberry that I love. He's stupid, but secretly, I think his stupidity leads him to be a very kind person. He's not stupid and mean. He's so sweet that even his mistakes are nice. Kind of similar to Joey on Friends, I guess. So he's sort of a sweet dum-dum. So he wants to say apprehend all vagrant men, meaning arrest all homeless people. What he actually says is comprehend all vagrant men. Try to understand the homeless instead of throwing them in jail. And again, he's a dum-dum and he's said something he didn't mean, but what he actually said, it's kind of sweet and nice, and I like it. I kind of wish more police officers would try to understand homelessness instead of throwing people in jail. Okay, let's take a look at what we got next. He says, "You are to bid any man stand in the prince's name." So that means that the cops are allowed to come up to anybody and say, "In the prince's name, I command you to stand up, and let me see you." So the watchman says, "How if he will not stand?" "Why then take no note of him, but let him go, and presently call the rest of the watch together, and thank God you were rid of a knave." A knave is a bad person. That is completely ridiculous. So he says cops are supposed to be able to go up to somebody and say, "In the prince's name, because the cops are put there by the prince. "In the prince's name, I command you to stand up and look at me. Let me see." It's like asking somebody for their papers and information. Like, let me see your license and your driver's license. I want to know who you really are. So, and you're allowed to do that. This is "In the prince's name, I command you." And one of the cops says, "Well, what if they won't do what we tell them to do?" And he says to them, like, "What do we do if he will not stand?" He said, "What if he doesn't stand?" And he says, "Well, then take no note of him. Let him go, and be glad that a bad person is not anywhere near you." That's literally the opposite of what the cops are supposed to do, but it's kind of sweet. He's like, "Well, if the guy won't stand up, he's not a good person. So tell him to go away, and then you won't have any bad people in your life." It's not what cops do, but it's like very sweet actually. The mistake he's making is just like, let bad people go, because you don't want to be around bad people. It's like not good for your vibes. And then his partner Verges makes a kind of funny argument here too. He says, "Let him go and be glad you got rid of a bad person." Like, the whole point is you're supposed to capture bad people, but he's saying let bad people go and be glad you don't have to be around bad people. And then his partner adds, "If he will not stand when he is bidden, he is none of the prince's subjects." True, and they are to meddle with none but the prince's subjects. So it's like kind of a joke, meaning like, if the guy won't listen to you, if you say, "In the name of the prince, I command you to tell me who you are," if he won't do it, it means he's not one of the prince's subjects, in which case you're not allowed to talk to him. Like, he's essentially defined all bad people as outside of their jurisdiction. The joke here is that all of these wacky rules they come up with ends up causing them to leave all bad people alone, and stop bothering people. It's silly. All right, let's see what else we got. Oops, sorry, wrong page. Okay, so these guys have some other questions. Um, you shall also make no noise in the streets. You shall also make no noise in the streets, for the watch to babble and to talk is most tolerable and not to be endured. He means intolerable. He's reversed that word. But he tells them to make no noise. He says, we will rather sleep than talk. We know what belongs to the watch. So he says, make sure you don't make a lot of noise. And they say, oh, that's no problem. We're going to be asleep on the job anyway, so that we're going to be real quiet. All right, let's see what else. Why you speak like an ancient and most quiet watchman, for I cannot see how sleeping should offend. Right? And they said, well, we're going to be asleep, so we'll be really quiet. And he says, that's good. He says, that's not going to offend anybody. Again, it's an idea that his primary goal as the police is not to offend. So if they're sleeping, that won't offend anybody. It's silly. It's cute. Only have cares that your bills not be stolen. That's your weapons. Well, you are to call at the. Here's the next thing they have to do: call at the alehouses and bid those that are drunk get them to bed. How if they will not? Why then let them alone till they are sober. If they make you not the better answer, you may say they are not the men you took them for. So he says you got to go to the bar and make people go home. And he goes, well, what if they don't want to do it? And he says, well, then let them sober up. And if they still won't do it, they're probably a different person because people are different people when they drink. Like, he's like, he can't. So he tells them, make drunk people go home. If they won't go home, let them get sober. But once they're sober, don't be mad at them for refusing to go home because when you're drunk, you're like a totally different person. So just leave them alone. Like, this is the opposite of what the cops are supposed to be doing. Okay, cool. Well, sir. All right. Oh, and this is really the best part. If you meet a thief, you may suspect him by virtue of your office to be no true man. Well, that's stupid. Of course, a thief is not a true man. Here means like good person. If you meet a thief, you may suspect him of not being a good person. If you meet a thief, he's definitely not a good person. It's not about suspecting him. He's for sure not. If you meet a thief, you may suspect him by virtue of your office to be no true man. And for such kind of men, the less you meddle or make with them, why, the more is for your honesty. That is also ridiculous. So he says, like, if you see someone who's a thief, maybe they're not a good person. Of course they're not a good person. They're literally thieves. So he says, if you meet a thief, they may not be a good person. So don't mess with them because you don't want to be around bad people. Look, it's literally the opposite of what cops are supposed to do. He's literally saying if someone is bad, leave them alone. And because he says, well, if you see a thief, that's probably, he says, that may not be a good person, a thief, and you should stay away from bad people. That's not good for you. It's funny. It's funny in a particular way. It's funny. It's not Family Guy funny is funny because it's mean. This is funny because this guy is so nice that he doesn't even want the cops to arrest thieves because he's worried if cops spend any time around thieves, they will become bad people. Like, you want to have a good life, don't you? And a good life means not hanging around with bad people. So if you see a thief, just try to stay away from him. Okay. I'm actually going to pick this up in the next video. All right, I'll see you over there.